we have a lot to talk about. I'm hoping that we can get it in within 1 hour. But Davian Clark, tell me, who is Davian Clark and which parish you hail from?
Good evening, Heather. Thanks for inviting me to your platform. And I don't take invitations like this lightly. Since I'm no longer top class runner, most people don't even think about me anymore. So I really appreciate your time and your effort. I know it took a little while to get me here, but I'm happy to be here.
Thank
David,
you.
I was born in Spanish Town in the parish of St. Catherine. So that's where I'm from, middle of Spanish Town, born in a Spanish Town hospital. Grew up in front of GC Foster while it was under construction, so I've been a Spanish Town man my entire life, and I moved to Kingston College.
Before we get to Kingston College, where did you start your early childhood in track and field, or what influenced you? Yes.
I went to primary school, and I guess now they have more primary school champs, but my primary school that I went to in Spanish Town was called St. Catherine Primary. It's a Catholic school. There's no green space. Everything is all cement, concrete all the way around. Only sport where we were allowed to play was netball. So the guys had to play with one hand behind their back when they play with the girls.
Oh, wow. In order not to have what they call a competitive
advantage. Yeah, competitive advantage. Yes. And so Sister Mary Agata, which was our spiritual leader and the principal of the school, she did not like any type of physical activity. She did every time she saw me. She's like, Davian, look at your armpit. You're sweating. You're not supposed to sweat. Why are you running around my school? So a little short lady, Italian lady, she was probably about 4'8", but she wasn't too much into sport. Now my school, St. Catherine Primary, they're in the primary champs, and they're performing very well. I think that had to do with me. I think we've only had two people from the high school that won the boys and girls champs. Me and I forget the other guy's name. He's a 400 hurdler. He actually went to KC as well, followed my path, and he won champs. So we produce a lot of runners there.
As you talk about KC, as in Kingston College, how did the transition happen from primary school to Kingston College, aka KC Fortis?
Yes, Fortis. Big up to all the college people all across the world. So that's a very interesting thing. So like I said, my school was not big into sports. The school was more based on as an academic institution to try and guide young men and young women. The only time we do any sports, we have sports day. Obviously the older kids are going to be the faster kids. So we had sports day my last year, which was the 6th grade year. And when we were supposed to have sports day, I forgot what happened in Spanish Town or Jamaica at the time, but it was canceled. It's the only year St. Catherine Primary never had a sports day.
What year was that?
I think 1988. Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to become the fastest man at St. Catherine Primary. So if there's a record book, my name is not on any record book for anything other than being as my teacher said, the only student she's ever met that had C's in every class. She used to say C for Clark. But so what happened, I was not very good at academics at a school that was preferred to be academic. So because I was getting C's, I was on the lower area because everybody was all A students. But then I started taking some special lessons, and this will lead back to track. I started taking some special lessons. And then my 6th grade year, I got really good at math. And I moved from nobody in the school to the #1 math student.
Wow, so, impressive.
Yeah, so eventually I would race with everybody doing math homework and math tests. I'd be the first one to finish. Sometimes I get one wrong, but most of the times I get 100. It was called Common Entrance at the time, not GSAT. And I took it, and they started calling out the names of everybody that passed. And the teacher went through the list, and they didn't call my name. And I felt like such a failure. I was like, oh man, I can't believe my parents invested so much money in after school program and extra lessons and had the best teachers, and I still didn't pass. And so I was sitting at my desk thinking, what am I going to do with my life? When my teacher looked over and said, Davian, why are you still sitting down? You're one of the people that passed. I was like, really? She's like, yeah, I called your name. You were one of the first names. I said, you did not call my name. I've been sitting here waiting for my name to be called. You had one of the highest scores. I said, no. So when you did that test, I had to pick two schools. So I picked the two schools that were in the school challenge quiz finals.
Which two schools?
San Diego and KC. And
Wow.
Diego in that year. So my first pick was Kingston College, and my second pick was KC. First pick was KC, and my second pick was San Diego. But I didn't want to go to Jago because I didn't want to go to the school that everybody from my primary school went to. So most everybody had passed to go to Jago because it's in the Spanish Town.
In the community.
Yeah, easy commute. All my brothers and sisters, cousins, everybody went there. So only me and one guy from KC, one guy from St. Catherine Primary picked Kingston College. And that was how I ended up at KC. I had nothing. People thought they recruited me because I was such a good athlete. I had nothing to do with anything with athletics.
So how did you get into track and field to become a superstar quarter miler?
It was more my passion to the track and field. Oh. And it was also a bit of luck because they tried to, right. So let's start first before I tell you that story. So I got to KC, enrolled in school, and I thought I could be a soccer player. But then, I got there in September and they tell me, well, look, team has been training since June, July, all summer. We already have the team. We're playing our first game tomorrow. So I went out to soccer practice and I said, listen, I'm really good. I want to be on your team. So they say, what club you play for? I said, I didn't play for any club. They say, what school you play for? I said, I didn't have sports in my school. They said, how you know you're good? I said, man, I'm really good. But they didn't believe me. So they didn't put me on the team, obviously, because I'd missed tryouts and all those things. And KC is such a big time school when it comes to soccer. Wolde Harris, I don't know if people know who Wolde is.
Oh yes, I know the name. Yes.
Wolde was leading goal scorer for his high school in Jamaica at KC. He was leading goal scorer for his high school in Orlando, a leading goal scorer for Clemson and helped them win the national title. And now he's the assistant coach in Colorado Rapids, I think.
Impressive.
So I could make that team, basically. And many other people apart from Wolde were on that team. And so I decided I still wanted to fulfill my dream of being a soccer player. So I tried out, that was a Pepsi team, which is the youngest team. So I went out for Colts, and it was pretty much half the Pepsi team was on Colts. So I still couldn't make it. So I decided to go over to North Street because KC has double campuses. The freshmen are on the first campus and the older guys are on the other campus. So I started going over to the older campus, which is where the track team trains. And George T, which is a legendary soccer coach in Jamaica, he was on there, and he looked at me and said, I don't think soccer is your thing, but you're fast. I want you to come out and try the track team. And he was the class 3 coach at the time. So that's how I started with track and field. I wasn't selected, so I went out to do the cadet, and so that's what I was involved in.
Did you start on the track team from class 3, like generally, or is it that you started late, as in class 2 going forward?
No, I started. So I didn't run my first year. Like I said, I was in cadet corps my first year, so I wasn't on there for. I think you could be in class 3 for 2 years.
Right.
I didn't end up going until the last year of class 3. I was on the cadet team. The cadets. They do the 5-mile runs in the morning. While I was doing that, I was like the number 2 fastest cadet. And there was one guy I couldn't beat who was my sergeant. And so that summer, he quit cadet because he said in order to do track and field, he had to quit cadet because you couldn't do both. And so I followed him that summer, and that's how I ended up on the team. So we were at Champs watching, I think 1989 Champs I watched because I got to KC 89. So I watched 1989 Champs, and then feeling all that emotion and thing, I say, you know what, this is where I need to be.
A little birdie told me that you actually specialize in the 2-4 double. I did not know that before. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so when I went to KC and ran, they didn't know what event to put me in. So I got there, they said, well, you're strong, you're fast, maybe you're a 400 runner. My first time on the team, they used to have me train with the 400 guys, and there wasn't any class 3 400 runners, so I had to run with with class 2 and class 1 boys at training. So that's actually how I really got good, because I didn't train with people my age. I trained with the older guys. It was more the 800, 400 group that I trained with. And then before my first champs, they were trying to figure out what event to put me in. And I was really good at long jump.
Very versatile.
Yeah, so they had me in long jump, but they didn't know it, but they didn't have anybody to run the 400. So that's how I got into the 400. They just put me in the 400 because I was one of the only people doing one event. So they were like, lazy guy, you're only doing one event at champs, we need to win. You have to do double events. And back then, I think class 3 didn't have any relays. So all I was doing was long jump and 400. And I ended up being the only person from the class 3 group that won a medal. I got bronze in the long jump and bronze in the 400.
Who was your main rival?
In the long jump?
In those two events, which school was your main rival?
Jamaica College back then, Edward Clark, and there was a guy called Rowan Levy in the 400. Mark Blake was the powerhouse sprinter. I think Mark won either the 1, the 2, and the 4, because he won the 400. He beat me and I got third. And then a guy from Veer that was second. I wasn't slated to get a medal. The guy from Jamaica College was supposed to get the other bronze, but I had the fastest time coming into the semifinals, so I ended up winning a bronze medal. So my first year at track, they only put me in one running event, so they didn't know I was fast. So what you're talking about, the sprinting, that all occurred my second year at champs. I ran first year 2, and they put me in a whole lot of events because they found out that I could run. So I was in the 110 hurdles, the 400, the 200, a long jump, 4x1 and 4x4.
What? That's like 5 events.
Yes, heat, semis, and finals in all of them.
I did not know, and I'm sure a lot of people did not know that Davian Clark ran the hurdles. I did not know that.
Well, that's why people are always wondering, why am I coaching hurdles? I don't have any certificate for coaching hurdles, but I'm actually a hurdler, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. So I know everything about the 110 hurdles. My best event to coach is the 400 hurdles, though. I train for the 400 hurdles all the time, but I actually only ran it one time. I trained for the 400 hurdles. I love the 400 hurdles, so that's my claim to fame. So the second year my second year 2, I won silver in the 110 hurdles. I won gold in the 200, gold in the 400. I think I got like 4th or 6th in the long jump. And then we ran on the 4x1 and 4x4. So that's when everybody started to see that, hey, I guess this guy can run. He can do more than just long jump.
So with all those events, what class did you decided to settle down and do just the 2-4 or the 400 meters? Or you did all events leading up to class 1? Well,
it was different times. It's not like these young men and young women right now. I did 5 events every boys and girls champs for KC because we were always going to win.
What an achievement.
Yeah. Wow. So sometimes when people, I say the times that they're running, I say if I wasn't tired half the time at champs, I probably would have run 20 points when I was at champs, but I was too tired. And then all the rounds that I had to run. So then I think the coaches started putting together some kind of paperwork to try to lessen the load and have the athletes start running less than 3 rounds, because we used to do prelim, semis, and finals.
Yes.
So, that was a lot of running. And then I think I had semis and finals in the relays as well.
Wow. So leading up to class 1, you were basically doing all these events until you exit.
Heather. I did the same thing every year, even class 1.
Oh, wow. But so
class one, I did long jump, but I didn't make the finals. But I got 4th at Carifta that year in long jump. Class 1, I won. I was 3rd in the 200. I was 2nd in the 400 because Edward Clark won.
Edward Clark from JC.
Yeah, he won the 400. He ran like 46.4, and I ran 46.8. And I was 2nd. Yeah, I was 2nd. I think I was 2nd, and the 4x1 and 4x4, and I was 4th in the 110 hurdles. Neil Gardner, the great Dr. Neil Gardner, killed me in the hurdle. Actually, Neil was 2nd. Maurice Wignall won the hurdles that senior year.
Very interesting. You are telling me stuff now that I did not know, and I'm sure a lot of track fans did not know this. But let us segue to college. After such a rich legacy at champs, tell me a little bit about your transition between Champs High School and college NCAA circuit?
It wasn't hard for me because, like I said, from I started running track and field in high school, I was always training with older athletes, 18-year-old guys running 150 in the 800. So the training that I got in college, to me, was actually easier than what I did in Jamaica.
Oh, wow.
And so I used to come to practice and say, Coach, I have to train harder, man. I don't think I'm going to be able to do as well as I need to because this is not even pushing me. And so that kind of forced my coach to relook at his workouts and say, well, okay, I have to start giving this guy things that are more challenging. So actually, when I used to be in college, I used to have my teammates used to tag team me because nobody could run a whole 500 with me. So one guy would run 200 meters and step off the track, and the other guy would start at the 200-meter mark and run the last 300 meters with me. My coach actually used to run the last 150 with me until he said he's getting too old. He can't run anymore. So that's
so
how my training used to be.
At what point did you decided that you're now going to become a quarter miler, 400-meter specialist after doing all those events leading into college?
Well, that's what I said. Once I got to college, I just decided that I'm just going to specialize and just focus on one thing because I realized that I hadn't run 20 point. The elite college guys were running 19 seconds, so I didn't think I could be competitive in the 200. So I started to focus more on the 400. And so my freshman year, we have a conference championships, and my freshman year, I was second in the 200 meters to a guy, his name was Kevin Lyles. Lyles' father, the guy that won the world championship.
Noah Lyles' dad.
Yes, his name is Kevin. So Kevin was a super runner. We couldn't beat him in anything. He won all 4 years he was in college. I couldn't beat him. So he won the 200. He ran like 20.7. And then I was second with 20.9. And then in the 400, I decided I wasn't going to let him beat me. So I thought I was going to win, and I led all the way up until 350. And then him and his little skinny legs ran right by me that last 50 meters. And that was the first time I ran 45 seconds. And I broke the Jamaica junior record. I ran 45.7. And then that kind of was the race that kind of everybody started calling me the J3As, and they say, we want you to run the 400. The World Junior is coming up, but the World Championships is coming up, and 45.7, you could be on the Jamaica 4x4. So we want you to train and focus on that. And so that's kind of where it all started for me.
Wow. Tell me about that transition. Was it a hard transition for you to be running at the college level and now making the Jamaican team to compete for the country internationally?
No. So one of the things back then, the focus of the Jamaican high school coaches was only on champs. So after champs got done, we didn't get any more workouts. So we never really trained for the Jamaica national teams. And actually, I've never ran at Jamaica trials until my freshman year of college.
Which was like 1999, right?
No. 1994.
94.
My freshman year. But I didn't run. I didn't try out for the Jamaica national teams because we didn't really train for that. And then after the trials, we didn't have any meets until World Juniors and stuff like that. So when we go to all those international competitions, we didn't perform as well because we weren't preparing the way we should have been. Not the way the guys prepare now.
You made your first Olympic team, 1996, Atlanta. It was.
Yes.
Share a little bit of that experience with me.
Well, like I said, my freshman year in '95, I made the Jamaica World Championship team. We actually broke the Jamaica record in the 4x4. First Jamaican team to go sub 3 minutes. We ran 3:58.8, almost as fast as these guys ran just now to win the silver medal this World Championships. And so we broke the Jamaica record in the semis, and I got a silver medal in the finals. And after that great experience at the World Championships, the 1996 Olympics, I was ready for that because that World Championships kind of mentally prepared me and physically prepared me, and I had the confidence because I've I ran against Michael Johnson and all the world-class top talent. So I kind of felt like I should be there. But the Olympics was an amazing thing. There was just so much to do in Atlanta at the Village, things that I've never seen. We had a Olympic game room, which was the size of 2 football field. And you could play any games you want in there, video games, everything was free. We had go-karts driving around the Village. It was just a great moment. And because it was in Atlanta, we had a lot of Jamaicans coming to the gates with their Jamaican flag waving at us, asking us to come over and sign autographs for them, trying to buy our Jamaican jerseys, So it was very exciting, and it was a surreal moment because once I became an Olympian, it's like everything was different. Like everywhere I went in Europe after that, everybody knew who I was. They were like, "Hey, Davian Clark, 1996 Olympic finalist." I said, "Yeah, can I get your autograph?" So after that point in time, it didn't matter where in the world I was. People started coming up to me and just, "Hey, we need to have a picture with you. I saw you running the Olympic finals with Michael Johnson." So it is one of the greatest moments of my life and something I'll never